All right, friends, we are live for Friday Night Live and super excited to be here again. We're going to be painting a really cool scene. And I'm going to actually change this slightly, but it's this scene from the Skagit Valley, which is really close to where I live. In fact, um, I was just up there last night. This is not from last night, but we saw a beautiful, beautiful sunset last night. My daughter Willow and I were up. On a little daddy-daughter date and had a good time, and we were looking over to the west and we saw this spectacular, brilliant sunset. So beautiful area. This is actually looking east more towards the mountains, but it kind of got a cloudy day. It's going to be really fun to paint, and I'm going to change things up a little bit. I've been painting on a black surface, and today I'm going to actually paint starting with a white surface, and I'm going to, so if you have a black surface already and you're wanting to paint along, this is giving you a little heads up and you have a little bit of time. If you just want to be here and relax and hang out, that's totally awesome. Also, you don't have to paint at all. And just trying to think, usually have a couple things I want to say, but I do want to mention this because I had a comment in the last one that somebody's like, I got so excited. I found these videos, and then I got all disappointed because there's not a lot of instruction going on. And I just wanted to say, I'm open to your feedback. If you want me to be more instructive, I can. But the reason that I'm not is because this is like us hanging out, and we do tons of instruction on our site on Acrylic University. And so I've always looked at this as a little bit more of hangout time. But if we took a survey and 95% of people were like, you know what, we really want to hear what's going on in your head. We want to hear that, even though we're going to be talking on our own, because I know that people are chatting and doing stuff. Then I'm open to changing the way that I think. But that's why it is the way it is right now. Anyways, I'm going to switch the view over to the canvas cam here, and then we'll get going with this painting. So, good times here. Now, you probably know I use a Masterson Stay Wet palette. I have a little bead box here that's got a few simple colors in it, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of work with this one as I'm going to be painting pretty larger, like the sky is a little bit larger, and I'm going to do something where I pre-mix a bit of some of the colors before I get into the sky. But what I want to do right now is I want to get a base down onto this canvas because it is white, as you know, it's just plain white. So I'm just putting a little bit of water down right now, and I'm going to mix a bit of, I'm going to make this actually a little bit more like the color that is on the, some of the colors that are on in the painting, and do a little bit of that. So tell me a little bit about how you're doing today, though. I had a pretty good day. It's been really nice weather. There's a lot of hard stuff going on in the world right now, and I feel that I don't want to be too glib and I don't want to be ignoring the realities that are happening in the world. At the same time, I want to allow this to be a fun time. But I know that sometimes we come with different things on our hearts, and maybe not all of it is always super fun. So I also come with a bit of heavy heart about some of the sad things that have gone on in the world recently, and want to acknowledge that.
So we got
all right.
from San Diego, Lewis Kerr from Salem, Oregon.
Okay.
Not sure how you say that. We got Lucia from Massachusetts.
Okay, yes.
Her parents are here.
All right, there we go.
Becca from Arizona. Somebody from Mexico.
Oh, cool. Hey, that's awesome.
Allison Burris from Mississippi. Elizabeth back from Connecticut. Sherry from London, Canada. Linda from Arkansas. Sherry from Everett. Jan from California. Connie from Minnesota. Chris from Colorado.
Awesome.
From Houston.
Welcome.
From Chicago. People from everywhere.
Super awesome. So glad that you're here, everybody. Welcome. We're thrilled that you take time, and we're very thankful for you. We're glad to be able to spend time together. I'm just mixing up a bit of a grayish color. It's got a little bit of orange, a little bit of blue, a little bit of gray, a little bit of white. And I'm just doing this. These are kind of like the basic colors that I see out there, and I don't care if it gets a little bit mixed up, because what's going to happen in this is some of the sky color is going to reflect down onto the grass. Some of the ground color is going to get reflected back up in the sky. It's not always super easy to see in a photograph, but certain times of the day, certain viewpoints, you can see that kind of thing happen a lot easier. But in terms of a painting, it's usually a pretty reasonable idea to allow some of those colors to be crossing over, and it kind of makes things look pretty good. So now I've got a wet canvas here, and I need to start putting in some of my dark. That's what I'm going to start doing. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the changes that I'm going to make, actually, because you can't really see this very well, but I did a couple thumbnail sketches here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to change slightly. I'm going to put a little bit of like a line right here I'm going to pretend that this angle of this field goes upward a little bit more over towards that way. We'll kind of go up a little bit, and I'm going to put some taller trees over here. And I just wanted to break up this line a little bit. They'll be a little bit darker, and then it'll be basically the same back over on this side. I'm probably going to move that barn over just a little bit to the right, and then most of the rest will be pretty much the same, but you can't see it. I can't really see it in the photograph. My reference will be from the sketch that I did in terms of placement and that kind of thing, but that's the general idea.
Connie Ryan says, sad days in Minnesota, we need prayer for peace.
Yeah, I think I just know that there's riots going on in Minnesota, and I don't know much about it because I didn't have time to really catch anything on the news or anything like that, but that's what's heavy on my heart today too. Yeah, kind of rough times. So this is not a real dark color yet. I'm putting this on because I want to have something that's not my darkest dark until I'm ready with my drawing.
Fran says maybe see the thumbnail sketches.
I can take a picture. I can hold it up to you. Let's see. I'm looking at my. Whoops! I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, you can see it here. This is kind of as it is, and this is what I'm going to do. So I just added those big trees, and I kind of made this line there a little bit more upward. I'm kind of hoping to get this idea of something going up like this, and then it'll kind of point our eyes into that space. This I'm hoping will offset because I'm going to have that barn kind of right in that area. That was one of the things that made me want to paint this, and but I want it to have some other stuff that offsets it over here too. If that all makes sense.
Gene Hudson asks, do you gesso your canvas?
These canvases come pre-gessoed. They are great product right here, Centurion. I really love them. Probably didn't hold that up long enough for you, but it's universal primed linen painting panel. I love them a lot. Great. But they're basically just a canvas that is wrapped over a panel, and you can get those a lot of different places. These ones, I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember for sure where I got them, but I like them. They're nice. So these trees here in the foreground are gonna be the darkest kind of, they're close to us. So this is how we're gonna establish some of our sense of depth in the painting. By the way, big thanks to Peter, big man Peter Stout, who's in here with me tonight, like usual, doing the helping the conversations move and letting me know what's going on out there. So if you have any questions, feel free to shout them out. We'll always try to do our best to answer your questions as we're going. And Peter tries to do his best to keep me on track here. So painting on a white surface like this, which I've toned now, but it's quite different than painting on the dark, and it will be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, Allison, we switched the microphone out, so it's harder to hear me a little bit. Let's see. Heather asks, how do we opt in for a painting if we don't have the ability to text?
Well, I give away paintings different ways at different times, Heather. If you can't text on these, it's going to be probably not an option, because at least tonight, we don't have an option for you. Oh man, I just thought of something really funny. I think we're gonna have to figure out. I didn't set up a keyword tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You only see how many people are in a list and then subtract.
Yeah. I think we might just have to use something like that. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, we do other things too. Like, I don't know if you're on Instagram. Was that Nancy who asked that? Or I can't remember. Heather. Sorry, Heather. But I mean, I give away paintings every once in a while on Instagram and things like that. But it's kind of depends on what it is. For these Friday Night Lives, that's the easiest way for us to figure out how to organize it, is through the texting, because it's really hard to keep track of.
Jen asked, what is the advantage of linen over traditional canvas?
Well, it's a slightly different texture. I never used this until, I don't even know how I started using it. I think I might have just found it, kind of discovered it, or else maybe I saw it on a workshop checklist or something like that, supply list, and I thought, oh, I'll give that a shot. And I liked it, so I kept kind of using it, kept buying it. But I like it because it's a little bit finer texture than a normal canvas, and I kind of like the fine texture. It doesn't show up as much. Sometimes the canvas texture becomes a little bit prominent in what we're doing, and so what I mean is, I don't like at the end of a painting looking back and seeing the marks of the canvas as much as I want to see the marks of the brush. And so anyways, that's one of the reasons I like this particular one. I don't know about other linen canvases, but this one is pretty fine texture, and I like it for that reason.
I'm just making a new keyword here.
Okay, cool. So we will give you the keyword and all that. So by the way, if that wasn't clear, you'll want to stick around till the end, and then we'll give it away. Last week it was pretty cool. I don't know if I said this anywhere, but Yolanda, who won the painting, texted me after I was kind of reaching back out to her and getting some information and stuff like that. It was actually her birthday last week, so it was really kind of cool because it ended up being, or this week it probably was her birthday, but it was kind of like a birthday present for her. So that was kind of nice that it worked out that way, that she was the winner on her birthday week. So I'm gonna start putting in a little bit of, like, this is just kind of suggested stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna be rendering everything that I see out in super high detail or anything like that, but I'm gonna get a little bit of color in. I'm gonna put some marks in and then adjust them as I need to. And I might need to get out a little bit of a smaller brush here. So because this is a little bit different scene than a lot of times what I've painted on a Friday night thing for sure, but it has a little bit more of kind of small little things in here, and less, a little bit less like larger shapes, which I think is part of the reason I wanted to put these trees in, because I wanted to get something that was a little bit closer to us. But it's going to be a little bit different. Doing a little bit more kind of smaller brush work in there. Probably have to do a little bit of that.
This is the Skagit Valley.
Yeah, this is the Skagit Valley. Just north of Seattle, about an hour. Very fertile area. Lots of farms and lots of stuff that's grown here. And then, oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
No.
Okay. I'm just gonna I'm thinking about this. Well, as things go back, we're gonna lose the yellow and the red, and it's gonna become more blue. This is kind of the stereotypical way to show depth in a painting, is that the stuff that's farther away becomes much more blue, and we can see it pretty easily in our reference. So tell me a little bit about what your week has been like. I tell you that Silver, our cat, is getting more and more, like I say it every week, but he's getting more and more rambunctious. And this week, I don't know, I can't remember what I said last week, but every week, yeah, he's plotting a jailbreak. That's what Peter says. I believe it. Man, he's funny. He just sleeps half the time. Well, no, sleeps about 9/10 of the day, 90% of the time. And then the rest of the time, he just kind of like relaxes. Then he'll get all wound up and he'll go crazy for about 15 minutes, and he'll just be running and jumping and climbing everything that he sees. And then he'll fall asleep again, just like wherever he is. And then he's out for another 3 hours. But he always purrs when you come close to him. I think that's why we all love him so much.
Doug says, today was kayaking down the Missouri River with my son, then mowing the lawn.
Oh, really? That sounds pretty awesome.
That is really cool. Doug is living in paradise up there, man.
You know, Renee was looking at some of your photographs, Doug, the other day that you sent in, maybe from like the cloud ideas and stuff, and she was saying how much she liked the Montana, like what she was seeing there, because I think she's from Alberta, and she's used to kind of the flat prairies, but what she sees in your photos is the mountains and the prairies, and yeah, sounds pretty cool.
Nancy Worrell said, happily finished the commission piece, looking forward to painting freely again.
Oh yeah, Nancy, you said that you didn't like that, did you? I'm sorry about that. Commissions can be hard. You should show us what it is, Nancy. I don't know, unless you already have, but it'd be fun to see. So what I'm gonna do here, actually, before I go too far, is I'm gonna mix up a little bit of color here for the sky. And I'm gonna do my best to get a good mix. And hope that this will be helpful. And I have way too much blue and not enough white in here so far. Okay, now I'm gonna mix in some other color here. Like I think I wanna get a little bit of orange. Maybe a tiny bit of red. Okay, this can kind of be a base color that I'll use for some of the clouds. And then I'm going to make a lighter version of it. So I'll grab some more white and mix up a lighter version. And the way that I think about these is that one of these is kind of more the highlight. One of these is kind of the halftone, and then one will be the little bit more of the shadow. Shadow of the clouds. And I put too much orange in there, so I'm gonna try to grab a little bit more blue. But it's okay to kind of have these be a little bit different. They don't have to be the exact same.
Bev says camping in our backyard. First s'mores of the season on the backyard campfire.
Oh, that sounds fun. First s'mores of the season. I just bought some s'mores cereal the other day. No, that's not true. I bought a milkshake that was a s'mores milkshake, or blizzard. When I was saying at the beginning of the night, our daughter Willow and I went out last night for a little date. We went to Dairy Queen and got a blizzard, and it was a s'mores blizzard. I forgot what it was. I knew we'd ordered s'mores something or other.
Jane Engel says, would you tell us what paint colors you're using?
Yeah, okay, sorry about that, Jane. I just grabbed a whole bunch of different things. I had blue and white in this, and then I added a little bit of orange and a little bit of quinacridone red. So these colors are titanium white, this is cadmium yellow light, this is cadmium orange, this is quinacridone red, this is ultramarine blue, this is black, and this is a neutral gray. This quinacridone red is the only color in there that I think might change its name depending on what company you buy it from. So I'll give you the actual code on the back. It's number PV19. If you are trying to get that exact one.
Allison asks, what is Jed's commission versus paint what you want percentage? Like, how often do you paint whatever you want versus how much do you paint in commission?
Percentage of my work that's commission is probably like 20% or something like that. I probably that's a guess. I'm just kind of guessing, but it's something kind of like that. I paint quite a bit of commissions, but not as much as what I do otherwise.
Tool asks, my paint on palette dries faster when I mix the paint. How do I delay it from drying?
Do you have a Masterson Stay Wet palette? Because this is a special palette that has a sponge underneath it, and this is a paper. And if you go to jeddorseyart.com and you go to /live, I think the link is in the description of this YouTube video. You can see the link to where I in this exact product, and I totally recommend it. I would never paint in acrylics without it because it's so helpful. It allows you to keep mixing and keep getting back into that. And anybody who's been around me at all knows that I love it and believe in it.
Elaine Zink says, babysitting the grands, better late than never.
Oh yeah. What do you mean better late than never? That you just got on? Is that like you just got on the live stream, or better babysitting them late? I don't know what you mean. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking at there's a shadow on the bottom edge of these clouds. And then there's, in fact, this is very much in my head. And the reason that I chose this painting today is because we're just finishing up our cloud module, which has been really fun for me to kind of work through and to teach and examine it again. But there's the idea of a highlight and a halftone and the shadow of your clouds is really helpful when you're thinking about where you're putting the various colors and tones and values and stuff like that. And that's why I mixed them up the way that I did, to try to give myself as much working time and things like that as I can. But I also mix them up with the idea of some of it being more shadow, some of it being more mid-tone, half-tone, and I got that idea, the word half-tone, just to give full credit, I got that from John Poon. I took a workshop with him, over a year ago, and he's a great artist, super great guy, super great artist. And he kind of had this idea of halftones and shadows and the light, and it was helpful for me to hear the way that he structured it, and so that kind of became the way that I started thinking about it too. So these clouds up in the sky are going to be the places where we have kind of some of our lightest values, and like this area right here is kind of maybe the lightest of the cloud areas right in there. And so I want to make sure that my other areas that are kind of like highlights in the clouds maybe aren't quite that bright, or they're, like just kind of play a little bit less dominant role. But the bottom edge of these clouds often has that shadow, and I find it kind of interesting. I don't know exactly why it is, but clouds tend to, it seems, kind of live on the same altitude, because when you look at the bottoms of them, they kind of line up. They're not always perfectly straight across or anything like that on the bottom, but they do tend to kind of be at the same altitude, and so you can kind of make sense that as they get farther away, they appear a little bit lower to us because they're farther away, and as they get up above us, they're higher in the sky. And part of the reason that makes sense is because they're sitting at the same basic altitude. And one of the reasons that you pre-mix some of these colors is because it makes it easier to go back. Like, I don't have to necessarily fix or put everything in right now. I can do some, and then I can work on other parts of the painting, and I know that I can reach back in and I can grab some of those colors again, and I can also blend colors fairly easily because I have them pre-mixed, kind of ready to go.
Allison says, is this a little blurry for anyone else, or have I had too much wine? It looks good to me, Allison. You can try changing your quality settings on YouTube.
That's kind of funny. Although we are really pumped up because this week coming up, we're hoping to receive in the mail a new kind of, I don't know, what do you call it? I don't even know what to call it, but yeah, it's a live stream setup. That's basically all that it is. I mean, and it's going to enable us to do this in a lot better. It'll be nicer quality, it'll be easier for us to use. It's going to be a ton of stuff about it that's going to be really great. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to leave the clouds right now for a little bit, and I'm going to go back down and start working on some of the ground and the mountains and this kind of thing. So let's come in here.
Jen asks, do you use an underpainting sometimes with clouds?
Yeah, I mean, I did do an underpainting on there that was at least somewhat what I think it will end up being, but I'm not right now intentionally trying to cover it up. I'm just trying to make the kind of work within the clouds, you know, the values right now. But right here is the underpainting, right here is the underpainting, and I'm probably going to end up covering a lot of that up. But it works because the value is pretty close right now.
Bev asks, how long will the Friday Night Live videos be available to rewatch?
Well, Bev, right now we're just leaving them on there. We're probably, I said something about this the other week, but we haven't really talked about it. I think long term, we'll probably leave them up for a certain amount of time and then take them down, and we'll probably add them to our site. Especially as we get the next setup going. I'm not totally sure. We haven't discussed that, but that's a possibility that they'll live for a period of time, and then they'll kind of get migrated over to our site, and then they'll probably be you know, because we're planning on adding new ones. So it's not like there wouldn't be new stuff available, but if you wanted to watch the old stuff, you'd have to go to our site, and not totally sure on that.
But not anytime soon. For now,
Yeah.
they're going to be up there for a while. So.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it right now. I'm not 100% sure that I like what I did with bringing those trees in, but we're gonna go with it right now. And there's these little kind of sections of the field that go back and forth, and I'm kind of trying to make something that looks like it would, I mean, I'm trying to get an idea that would draw your eye back towards the background a little bit, and also over that way in the end. That's kind of where I want your eye to go ultimately. But these little specks of buildings and stuff like that are pretty important for the kind of interest. Otherwise, there's not that much to really look at or differentiate from, like the foreground to the background, or that much to really look at. And there's a little bit of this back field that is coming through, and I'm probably going to exaggerate a little bit of sunlight on different parts of this painting to get the feeling that there's a scattered cloud, you know, because the sky is pretty scattered, and I like that. That was one of the things that also drew me to paint this. So, oh, go ahead. What you laughing at?
Well, Allison said, must be because I'm using a hotspot in the back side of rural Mississippi. Never too much wine.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, you tech people would wither away if you lived in my no high-speed internet corner of the USA.
Oh, no, that's funny. It's
Girls University certainly wouldn't be a thing if
yeah. No, it's nuts. I think about it. I'm very thankful because we live in a pretty rural area, but we live in a neighborhood, and there's, I mean, what I mean by rural is we live an hour from Seattle. It's not that far from a city, and there's other closer things that are cities or towns, you know, but right on the island where we live, you can live like 100 yards from one of the main roads, and everybody else on that main road has high-speed internet, and you don't. And I'm very thankful that we live we live in a neighborhood, and there's high-speed internet here. There's all the stuff that we really need to be able to operate. Because I have friends that live off the beaten path, just that little tiny bit too far, and they don't have it, and it would be really difficult to do what we do without it. So I sorry that you don't have it. I'm glad we do. As bad as that sounds, yeah, it would be hard. But at least you can usually, I know you can watch things usually a little bit easier than uploading things, so hopefully it's not too terrible. Does anybody, I know there have also been a couple of times when people have had a hard time seeing where the comments are, and I think there's people that watch and they want to comment on stuff, but they haven't been able to figure out exactly where to get to the comment section. And so If that's you, I wish I could. That's funny. I was just going to ask, if that's you, why don't you just say something? Then I just realized that if that's them, they can't say something. We acknowledge your presence, though. If you're out there and you want to say something and you haven't been able to figure out how, we're glad that you're with us, and we're sorry that you can't communicate as much as you want.
Hey, Dorina, good to have you.
Very fun. I don't know if you can hear Peter. Hopefully that'll also be something that we can kind of work through and figure out when we get our new stuff. I don't know what the issue is. Last week we tried giving Peter his own microphone, and then it actually kind of backfired on us because it had an echo or something.
Yeah, because there were two mics in the same room, so it got really echoey. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but chat started freaking out for a second, so we had to turn it off.
But it's kind of funny because we practiced with it, and it didn't do it when we were practicing with it. So I don't know why I did it later. So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. People say they can see a screaming face in the highlights somehow. And I'm trying to look for it, but I don't see it.
In the highlights? What are the highlights?
Well, Bev asked, does anyone else see the screaming face in the highlight white?
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Up here?
I'm not exactly sure.
That's funny. I thought you were first referring to something on YouTube, like, because we've had people come on. Hey, by the way, I have a favor to ask you guys. If you could do this for me, because we've had people who will jump on like randomly and just like be kind of mean and say nasty things, and Peter's usually pretty quick at getting them out of the chat, but I also noticed that like they would be also the same kind of person who would leave, like they'd say, I don't like this video. So if you enjoy these at all and you're like, yeah, actually one really simple thing that you could do that would just be kind of cool would be just to click the thumbs up button, say you like this, and then it will counteract some of the people that get on here for no reason and say, I don't like it, this is dumb. I don't really understand why they're doing it, but anyways, I'd been forgetting to ask, but if you do like this, give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it.
Oh, apparently it was in your palette, the face, a while ago.
Oh, really? In my palette? Oh, that's funny.
E-Hall says, great work, Jed, and a heart.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. Sometimes I know who people are, and sometimes I don't. I know every once in a while I'll get a message from somebody saying that they're using their son or daughter's like YouTube account or something like that, or their name is different. But glad that you're here, Aaron.
Heather says, my Friday night revolves around your painting demos.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for being supportive. We're open to ideas too and suggestions. This last week at our acrylic university, we do a live Q&A every week, and one of the members was suggesting something for us to think about doing, because I was giving her some feedback while I was actually like answering a question, but I didn't have much of an answer because I was like, and I don't normally paint that. And she said, well, actually, that'd be really cool. Why don't you do that on a Friday night? It had to do with flowing water. And I said, sure, I'll try to do something with that. And she actually sent me a couple different photos as ideas to work from. So we're open to your suggestions. We welcome your photos. If you want to send me a photo, just send it to jeddorseyart@gmail.com and say, hey, I'd love for you to paint this. This is the only deal. You'd have to be okay with somebody else getting your painting. There's no guarantee that you're going to win it. And you'd have to be okay with other people painting it too, because we have other people who paint along with me from wherever they are. So those are the two caveats with that. You just have to be kind of okay with those things. But if you are, we'd love to do that. And maybe someday we'll bring back where you could actually they're not, I hesitate to call them commissions, but I did do a couple from members. We said, hey, if you want me to paint something, I'll do it for this much money. And we had a few people say, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I don't know, we probably aren't going to do that very much, but maybe someday, if you had a picture that you were dead set on, I don't want anyone else to get this, anyways, you can always give us your suggestions. We're open to them.
Brooke Lerma says, my first time watching and painting along with you. I'm loving the hangout vibe.
Cool. Well, thanks for being here, Brooke.
Yeah. Glad to have you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. I enjoy hanging out and being together. I wish that there was a way to actually have 100 screens up and then just be able to look at and see everybody else at the same time. But technically that would probably be a little bit hard. But it's fun to hang out nonetheless. Yeah, I found this artist, Isaac Levitin, a few months ago. He's a Russian artist. I mean, he's deceased now. He was kind of early 1900s, late 1800s artist, and did some really, really great work. I really respect him and like what he did. And he's who I did a master copy of this month in the cloud module because I liked his work so much. But it was fun it's always fun. I really enjoy that part of the modules because I get to kind of study under one of these great artists and see what they did, and it's pretty cool. So again, another thank you to our students and everybody who is out there who's helping me grow, because in teaching I'm growing. It's pretty cool. I love the way that is in life, is you never actually stop growing unless you stop wanting to, I suppose.
So a couple people are comparing your trees and some of the colors to Van Gogh, and they said they like it. Elizabeth says, I'm enjoying your Van Gogh style trees and other field shades. And E. Hall says, I thought the same. Looks like Van Gogh trees.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if they'll end up looking that way, but very interesting. I love it when there's a lot of you know way more about art history than I do. And I really like it because Jay Ryan, another member of ours, he's always commenting on different things, sometimes within our community and stuff. And I feel like I benefit from it because he's usually referencing some historical artist or something like that. And I hardly even know what he's talking about, but it's kind of cool. Okay. So I am going to come up and do, now the problem that I'm having right now is that I don't have anything to look at really for these. So I'm kind of just going to have to make up what they look like. And I don't know if they're going to be that great at all, but I'm going to try to do something. I kind of, yeah, we'll see. There's some, I can't remember if those are what they're called, poplars maybe in the background. And I think I'm gonna try to make these trees look a little bit more like those trees that I see in the background. And I'm mixing up some green from my ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow and a little bit of white. And I might try to get this green there in the middle. I might try to get it a little bit deeper in value.
Lucia says really great clouds.
Oh, thanks, Lucia. Appreciate it. Everything's a work in progress at this stage, but appreciate the encouragement for sure. So these background, I think what I'll do is I'm gonna grab, trying to see what I can back there. There's not a lot of detail that I can see from those farther away trees, but I want to kind of bring in just a little bit of a tree trunk kind of detail into these. And like normal, a lot of times a little bit of detail can go a long way. We don't have to overdo too many things. There's a little bit of a darker line of trees back here. I need to get it to be a little bit more blue. But I might try to add this in.
Oh, Marilee H says, I'm one of the lucky folks who lives here in the Skagit Valley.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a pretty nice place to live, isn't it? Renee and I think about that quite a bit, actually, because we just, every once in a while, you just like look around and you think, man, we're so surrounded by incredible beauty.
Gene Hudson, Jed, your style is so relaxed. Love how you can chat ways you create.
I try my best. I tell you, I don't know if you can hear Peter, but he said somebody complimented my ability to talk and and paint at the same time. And I just said I try, but like honestly, it's better. It's way better now than it was when we started doing Acrylic University. I used to really, I mean, I still struggle some to think of what I'm trying to say and paint at the same time, because it is a little bit like two different sides of your brain. I remember when I remember teaching a workshop, and people, I'd be doing a demo and people would, you know, maybe ask a question or something. And I remember just thinking, like, I'd be like so intent on what I was doing in my painting. And then somebody would ask a question and it'd almost be like you run into a wall. And then you try to like figure out like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Somebody asked a question. Okay, what did they ask? And you know, you like totally try to reorient your brain. And then I remember hearing somebody say it's because you're using two different parts of your brain, and like that creative side of it has a hard time getting back into, like, it's in full motion, and then all of a sudden it's like you're asking it to stop and do something else. And so I think that there is something to that. I'm way more comfortable doing it now, but it does remind me of one thing I just want to say real quick. There was a famous painter, Sergei Bongart, and he would say to his students when he was doing a demo, he'd say either you ask questions, he says, you ask questions, my painting will be bad. You let me paint and you'll see a good demonstration. But anyways, I don't think that, but it's funny how we're all kind of dealing with the same thing. I need to get this lighter as it goes back, but I need to get it's got to be just bang on, really. Can't be too light. I don't know about this. This might be a little bit too light. Try my best to get some soft edges in here, which is always a part of the trick with acrylics. I say this over and over and over again, but if you want to have a painting that looks a little bit nuanced and maybe a little bit not super amateurish in a landscape, is that you want to get soft edges. In fact, that's something that my dad really kind of helped me think about. I remember one painting in particular. I don't know if you remember this, Dad, but I had this tree, and the tree was pretty good. Like I liked it a lot. And but my dad was pointing out the branches on the tree. It was a big old maple tree, and the branches were really hard. They were defined like everywhere. And after looking at it for a while with him, I realized, yeah, you know, there's no variation in there. And I mean, along the edges, they're just hard everywhere. And so I ended up going back and working on it, but I don't think I did a great job with it even in the end, because when I look back at the photo that I took of the painting, I still think, oh, it's got really, really pretty hard edges. But because we talked about that painting a lot regarding that, now when I see it, I at least have that in my head, and it's kind of like a marker for me of how to not do it. And I'm gonna bring in a little bit of variation in here. I want to show there's a little bit of light hitting some of these tills back here. And I want to get that now while it's wet. Not doing a good job with those values.
Which ones?
Oh, these values back here, I'm kind of they're just a little bit mixed up now. I need it to be a little bit more blue in general, but I want to bring in a little bit of the warmer color. I don't want it to be super flat. That's part of the issue. Okay, let's move up into the sky again. Actually, before I move up into the sky, I'm going to do, oh man, I need to find a small brush.
Some people are asking about phthalo. Are you going to phthalo blue?
It's a good question. I don't know right now.
When somebody asks, is there anything you add to your work to make it known it is yours, like the mouse man who puts a mouse on everything he does?
A mouse? Oh, that's interesting. No, I don't. I don't add anything special like that. Like, I think that I try to paint consistently with like the style that I have and have developed, you know, kind of over time, but there's no real trademark that I put into a painting for the sake of, you know, trying to make it look like it's mine. Besides my signature, which I suppose is a recognizable thing. At least if you can read it, it will tell you whose it is. Oh man. You know what's great is I haven't painted, you know how like the last probably I think every live video that we've done, I've done on a dark canvas. And this is the first time in any of the live videos that I've done it on a light canvas. And I think that the reason that I started doing them on dark canvases was just basically for this reason, because sometimes like it's so much easier for me to, like I don't have to think about different parts of the process as much, and I think it's a little bit faster process for me. So it's good. This is good for me because I know that I'll be kind of struggling here a little bit with some of this, but I think that it's good. I think it's good for people to see other artists kind of wrestle and struggle. And you guys might go like, oh, I don't know why you would say you're struggling right now or whatever. But I told this story a lot of times, but I was watching Scott Christensen, who's a great artist. And I remember realizing that he was struggling with a painting. I could just tell by his demeanor as he was going along. And I thought, I wonder what's going wrong with, this. I could tell he kept working on the sky and kept going back to it over and over and over again. And then finally, I'm sorry if you've heard this story a bunch of times, but the video faded to black. And it was really disappointing for me, because I thought, oh man, I wanted to see what he was gonna do. How was he gonna fix the painting? And then it came back on, and he was in a different shirt, but the painting was fixed. Like, the sky was different. I could tell he'd already done the work. And anyways, I felt really bummed out that I didn't get to see what he'd done, until he turned around like a couple minutes later, and he said, he addressed the whole issue, and he said, you probably saw that I was having a hard time with this painting, but you might think, I thought painting would get easier over time. But he said, actually painting has gotten harder for me, because my standards have gotten higher, and I expect more of myself, and I know more of what I'm trying to do. And so if I don't reach that standard, it's harder than when I was young. When I was young, I'd just paint, and it was fun, and I didn't even think about it. And I would just go. And so I feel like that a little bit with the way that I paint now is, painting sometimes can be really straightforward. It can be like, you just go, you paint, and it seems like it all comes together, and you walk away and you're done. And then other times it's a struggle, right? And if you paint, you know what I'm talking about, because different paintings feel totally different, and the way that you approach them feels different, and your emotional state as you're painting can feel different, and all this kind of stuff goes in, and it affects what you're working on and how you feel about it. And like something that you thought would work didn't actually work in the painting, and you have to start over with a different idea or something like that, and it can be kind of challenging. But he came back and he said, if you are always having success in your paintings, it means that you're not growing. It means that you've stopped actually trying things that are hard, and you're just coasting along. And so his encouragement was to embrace the hard things, and to embrace the struggle a little bit, and to say, we have to stop looking at failure as something bad, and we need to start embracing it as something really good. Because if we're failing, it means that we're growing. It means that we're trying new things, and we're learning. And so anyways, I think that hopefully, even in this painting, because honestly, this painting is a little bit more of a struggle for me than the last week's painting, or the weeks before. Like, I've been kind of coasting a little bit in my paintings, so to speak. And so if you have sensed that or feel like that, I don't know if you can. Sometimes it's just an internal thing that the artist is feeling, and no one else can tell or anything like that. No one else might even notice. But I say it out loud because maybe that can be an encouragement for you, wherever you are, however you're thinking about art and your own process. And maybe you've been feeling discouraged, or maybe you've been feeling like your paintings haven't been turning out. Well, maybe that's a really good thing. Maybe that means that you're trying new things and you're growing a ton. And don't be discouraged by that, because that's a really, really awesome and noble thing. So I'm going to have that same attitude also. Like, even though this might be kind of tricky, might be kind of challenging, and maybe I'll have to stop tonight and do a little bit more work on it after the end of this thing. And you guys might not see something that goes on in the canvas. That's okay. I'm learning, I'm growing, and that's what this is all about. I think that part of, if you've heard me say this once, you've heard it 1,000 times, creativity takes courage. Those are the words of Henry Matisse. And I think that creativity is such a great gift for that reason, because it actually can help us be courageous in other ways. I think if you are tentative and fearful and you let that control you in one area of your life, it can have ripple effects in other areas of your life, right? But if you can kind of be courageous and do things that are new and try something new in one area of your life, then it can also have ripple effects in other areas of your life. So I always think that art is a great place to overcome some of our fears and be courageous, and hope and pray that same kind of courage will overflow into other areas of our lives, and we'll start living, more and more the way that we were designed to live and are called to live.
Someone asks, do you squint your eyes when you paint to see the colors easier?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I see it's easier to see the values when you squint, and so I do that. And I don't always do it on when I'm looking at what I'm painting, but I do it when I'm looking at the reference stuff for sure. That's like the most common time for me to squint, is when I'm looking at the reference. And then sometimes I take a step back and I do squint when I look at my stuff, because I'm trying to get the big picture, kind of what's going on with the values. And I feel like, even though this is, I was just saying that this has been a little bit of a battle in some ways internally for me, just being able to see it, or being able to kind of think through, work through different things. I still feel like it's slowly starting to come together. Now we're kind of getting short on time here, so I probably will have to do a little bit of work on this, maybe just a little bit when we close off here. But I wanna open this up now, because I need to get some word from Peter. We're gonna give this painting away like we always do, and we'd love for you to have the best chance possible to win it. So we're gonna give you some instructions here, and then I'll give you the.
That's the keyword.
Okay. So I've got a keyword. So what I want you to do is get your phones out. So again, like, if you don't have a phone that you can text with, I do apologize. That's the way that we are doing these right now on Friday night, and that's the easiest way for us to give it away in a way that's fair and everything like that. But if you don't have one, we'll try to figure something out for you in the future, or a different giveaway. But get your phone out right now if you want to win this painting. Type in my number into the text, and you're gonna have one word. It's just a one-word thing.
You want to say your number?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. My number is 425-800-8010. 425-800-8010. I'll say it one more time. 425-800-8010. So get that typed in. Don't send a text yet. Just get it typed in and ready, because I'm going to give you the magic word. Now, when you send this in, don't send your name or anything right now with it. Just send the one word that I'm going to give you. And I'm going to do something here to make it easy. I'm going to write it out because I know that sometimes if you're like me, it's easier to see something than it is to hear it. And so I'm going to write it right here, and I'll hold it up so that you can see it. Now, the minute that I hold this up in front of the camera, you can text me, and the person who is number, let's just say 22, who is number 22 is going to win this. This is the magic word. It is the name of this valley in Washington. Now just text this word to my number 425-800-8010. 425-800-8010. That is the word Skagit. Skagit. Okay, so I'll keep working on this a little bit while we get everything in order, and then we'll announce our winner. And then after you send in your word, if you wouldn't mind sending in your name, your full name, your well, actually don't do that. I'm sorry, don't do that yet. You can do that in a minute, but don't do it yet because I just realized Peter has to count them out first.
Jane Shettle.
Jane.
We have her in our system.
Jane, how do you spell the last name?
S-C-H-E-T-T-L-E.
S-C-H-E-T-T-L-E. Jane Shettle, or Skettle, if that's how you say it. Jane, this painting belongs to you now.
It's all yours.
So if you didn't win, we are so sad for you. We mourn the loss. But I had somebody ask, I want to explain. We're trying our best to send out text reminders. I just wanted to say that sometimes they come out a little bit late. Like, we're trying to figure out the best way, but when there's a lot of people that we're trying to send to, it actually takes a while to get them out. And it's just kind of the way that it works. It doesn't send them immediately. It sends them like one at a time, and it just keeps going like that. And so it kind of can take actually a matter of hours. Like, sometimes we've gotten texts from our own testing. They come in the next day, and we're thinking, oh man, that was not helpful at all. But just to say that we're doing our best to notify you when we do these things, but you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can set reminders when we get them. And then you can also try to set your own reminder or alarm or something like that on your phone. That's what I do a lot of times, is I just set my own alarms, and then I know that I'm gonna get it no matter what. Even if I'm away from service, I can still have the alarm go off on my phone. So hopefully those things can be helpful for you. But if you're waiting for stuff from us, sometimes it might come a little bit late and you might miss the first part of this. So congratulations, Jane. We're going to I'm going to do a little bit more on this, and then I'll get it out and wrapped up and sent off to you. But I'm going to switch over to the other view here. Hey, Peter, can you do me a favor and bring in Silver? So we'll give you a little another picture of our little kitten, if we can, here in a minute, of Silver, because Silver is just our little delight. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be opening up the doors for our membership to Acrylic University next week. It's a super fun community. A lot of you are already members, and we love you. We love all of you. We have a special place in our heart for the people who are members, because we've gotten to know them over the course of months, and it's pretty awesome, because it's like we're friends, and we've never really met very many of our members, but we feel like we know each other because we see each other and interact quite a bit. So here comes our little There's Silver and Willow. So Silver is now about, I think he's about 3 or 4 months old. Like 4 months. I think he's about 16 weeks now. Maybe something like that. Anyways, we love him. Super fun cat. And anyways, thank you for joining us tonight. Be looking out for our Acrylic University doors opening next week. If you want to be part of that, it's going to be the last time that we open the doors until September. So make sure that you don't miss it. And thanks for being here. We love you. Have a really, really, really wonderful rest of the week or weekend. And we'll see you next week as we do another Friday Night Live. All right, guys. Talk to you later.